Hey, welcome. Let's talk about 5 LLC must have to get business credit. So, if your LLC is not set up exactly how it needs to be, the odds of you getting approved for business credit is next to zero. So, in this video, I want to break down 5 key things that you want to do with your LLC before you apply for any business lines of credit or business credit card. So, the first thing is you want to get a real business address. Now, there's 3 types of business addresses that you can get established on your LLC. The first type is a physical address, which is more of a brick and mortar location. This is potentially a grocery store, or if you have a beauty salon. This is if you're going to a doctor's office or a lawyer's office. Those are more of a brick and mortar type of setting, the same if you're going to a gym. So the second type of address that you can get for your LLC is going to be your home address. This is going to be for those of us who have home-based businesses. So if you're doing some type of e-commerce, or if you do some type of online consulting, maybe you run a therapy session, and maybe you are possibly, a work from home therapist. You can set up your Zoom call, and guess what? You work from home. Now, there is a caveat to you setting up your LLC as a home-based business, which is why a lot of people tend to use the third option, and that is a virtual office address. A lot of people use a virtual office address because even though you may work from home, you do want to remain anonymous, which is some sort of privacy, so that your personal information is not out there all over the internet. And so one of the things that you can do is you can hire a third-party company where you essentially rent out the business address from that office or from that location. So that when someone goes to Google you, or if you go into a bank and they do a reverse search on your business, it shows up like it's a physical location. There's one thing that I do want to mention if you're going to take the virtual office route, because if it's a popular route that a lot of people tend to take, since let's be honest, it's going to be the most cost effective of the three, and that's this. You want to make sure that it reads as a non-commercial mail receiving agency. That means that if you go to do a reverse search on your business address, it has to seem like it's a physical location. You have to physically be able to drive into that location, not just pick up mail. You have to be able to actually work out of that office spot. And so one of the things that you can do to set this up the right way is you can take a look at some of these third-party companies that are located in your town, like Opus or Regis. And in my opinion, based on what we've seen, none of them are better than the other. I've just noticed that based on experience, you just want to make sure that it's not a private mailbox and it's not a non-commercial receiving agency. And you're going to go with using a virtual office address. The second thing you want to have set into place before you apply for any type of capital for your LLC is going to be a funding-friendly NAICS code. That means you want to pick an industry code that is not just congruent to your business, but it's also easy to fund. Is what I mean. Banks, financial institutions, and even credit unions, they have preference of the type of businesses and the type of industries that they want to work with and they want to extend capital out to. So you can have a perfect credit score, you can have the best business name in the world, you can have the best website, you have the exact location because you just finished setting up your business address. But if you're going into a bank, if you're going into a credit union that doesn't want to do business with your line of work, it defeats the purpose of you even having worked into that institution. And so one of the things that I typically recommend is let's take a look at the financial institutions that have what's called lending appetite, meaning they want to do business with you. They want to extend capital out to your business, and they essentially want to partner with your business so that you can continue to grow. So an easy questions that you can ask when you work into a bank, when you work into a financial institution is, ask them, hey, over the last 60 days, over the last quarter, what are the main types of businesses that you've been finding out or that you've been partnering with to extend capital up to? And they will let you know. It could be consulting, trucking, real estate. By the way, this is always changing based on where the economy is, not just on the macroeconomic level nationally, but also at a local level, depending on where you're applying for in the country. So the third thing is you want to make sure that your LLC has its own business bank account, not just from a protective standpoint of you not pursuing the corporate veil, but from a financial standpoint to increase your approval odds as you start to increase your ability to access capital. And so what I typically recommend is let's open up 2 different business bank accounts. let's open up a business bank account with one of the TRA banks. So those are the big national banks that you see all the commercials on. And then you want to open up a business account with more of a local or credit union local bank. The reason we do this is because you're going to have more access now to more options than if you were just go with one bank or one credit union or just one financial institution. And so typically what ends up happening is that the bigger banks, even though your ability to access capital with them at scale is dramatically increased, they also don't tend to favor you if you are more of a startup. So they will get you access to something as simple as a business credit card. Now, if you're looking at a local bank, the upside to working with a local bank is you're going to have options since it's more at a relation level. They want to kind of build up the local economy, if you must. And so they want to know more about your story. They want to know more about who you serve, what your business stands for. So they want to get to know not just the business, but they want to get to know the person behind the business, which is you, the business owner. Now, the downside to just relying on a credit union or just relying on a local bank is that you won't have the biggest lines of credit extended to you initially, which is why we like to have both options, especially as we're building out our funding for our entities. The move number 4 is you want to register your LLC with all 3 of the main big business credit bureaus, which is Equifax, Experian, and Dun& Bradstreet. The reason we do this is because we want to take charge of what information is actually being reported on behalf of the business versus anything that a supplier or a vendor may already be putting out there and you may not even be aware of. Because when banks and financial institutions go into these business credit databases, they look at your account and they say, this business is not set up the way that we want to lend to. And so one of the ways that you can make your business, again, more funding friendly, which is the whole point of this video, is by reporting the right data to the business credit bureaus and getting into the habit of grabbing a copy of your business credit report, going through it with a fine laser focus and seeing what needs to be on there, what doesn't need to be on there, and then make the changes that are needed to be made appropriately. So the last thing, remember what I mentioned earlier, where you want to open up and establish a business bank account with both a big bank and also a local bank or credit union, you want to focus on liquidity. A lot of banks, especially on the bigger bank side, they're focused on liquidity, meaning how much funding and how much money are running through those accounts. Now, you can do something as simple as set up the account just to have it there. But if you want to raise your internal reputation with that bank, which is known as an internal bank rating, you want to do so by consistently having cash flow running through those accounts. Now, there's no set number on there, but a good measure that you want to pay attention to is you want to have money running through there consistently. And you never want to have those accounts going into insufficient zone because you're going to end up lowering your internal score with that financial institution. And when you go back either 30 days from now, 60 days from now, or even 90 days from now, if you have had a bad reputation with them, you essentially have to wait for that bad reputation to rent itself out by having 30-day positive cycles with those banks so that you can again increase your ability to get access to capital with it. So if you found value in this video today, don't forget the subscribe button down below and share this video with an entrepreneur, a business owner who is looking to get access to business capital. And actually, if it's you and you're looking for a sustainable and a predictable way to access capital by installing that simple funding setup directly into your business, let's have a conversation. Book a call with me down below. We will deep dive into your business, where you're at the moment, where you're looking to go, and we'll see how we can help you. Until the next video, everyone, it's still Pierre the Founder. Peace.